Welcome. Thank you for joining our Sunday broadcast today. I'm going to be talking about a subject that you normally don't hear being presented unless you are studying the teaching and you are on the path of transformation. So I'm talking about the health of your aura today. I was thinking about this on the way over here and wondering really how many people can see an aura, whether it is from your pet, the aura of a plant, or your own aura. That's one thing. The other thing is, if you can see auras, do you know what it is that you're seeing? Can you identify different colors or different symbols, in this case with the human being, with the individual? Do you know, in other words, do you know what you are seeing? The teaching clarifies everything for us, and it gives us information about an aura that very few people can see the complete range of one's aura. They just can't see it unless you're a very advanced spiritual human being. So we have the teaching, which I'll be sharing with you today. And if you are clairvoyant and you can see people's aura, or the aura of, like I said, plants or animals and objects actually, then today's talk will help you identify what it is that you're seeing. So the teaching explains that our human aura is formed of 12 colors. Typically, your average clairvoyant will see maybe 3 colors associated with a person. And then when you see the aura of an animal, and the aura of an animal is one color. The aura of a plant is one color. The aura of a human being depends on the development of their soul, the unfolding level of their soul. But for most of us that have normal physical eyes, we just don't see an aura, but we can sense it. So what I'm sharing with you this morning is the recognition, first of all, to know that as the teaching says, that we have the human aura is made of 12 colors. So that's something to remember. Now, at the 4th initiation of consciousness, the chalice in our mind finally becomes dissipated, and it is taken, what takes its place is the spiritual triad. So the chalice is dissipated, and the soul now begins to move into and function within the spiritual triad. So the spiritual triad is taking the place of the chalice. This triad carries with it 3 colors, which are orange and rose and yellow. So if you're clairvoyant and you see orange and rose and yellow with that person, chances are they are functioning at that level or frequency of the aura that is now radiating 1, 2, or 3 of these colors, orange, rose, and yellow. Now, the aura, this is very interesting, the aura can be divided into 4 categories. See, this is the teaching. It doesn't give us superficial information. It gives us concrete, black and white, but that's not part of the aura. Black and white information, scientific information. So truly, as you begin to develop your sensitivities where you can see from time to time auras, this is going to help you define what it is that you're seeing. So now we learned that the aura is divided into 4 sections, 4 categories. The first category is the aura of an average person. The average person has 3 dominating colors: the physical, etheric, and emotional bodies. Physical, etheric, and emotional bodies. This is the dominating colors of the average person. Their aura is going to extend from 1 to 3 feet. The colors are pale green, pale yellow, and silvery blue. Now this silvery blue is mixed with gray, so it softens, even further softens the color of the gray-blue aura. I call it the gray-blue aura, even though it's silvery. It's the gray that makes it silvery. It is possible for an advanced person to work physically. They're working physically, and in their physical apparatus, they demonstrate these 3 colors, but also keep the colors of an advanced stage. So the advanced stage, we would say a person who is advanced is an aspirant, and their aura is going to extend from 3 to 6 feet. So the average person was 1 to 3 feet. The an aspirant's aura is going to extend from 3 to 6 feet. An aspirant is a person who sees the possibility of spiritual unfoldment and begins to strive toward it. Their striving is mostly related to the physical and emotional body. Now they're striving toward what? Toward transformation, toward using the nature of the physical, etheric, and emotional body in extraordinary ways. Extraordinary ways means that now their consciousness can slip out of the body and function in the astral plane, for example. The dominating colors for an aspirant would be blue-green, orange, and yellow, and sometimes violet. Blue, green, orange, yellow, and sometimes violet. The colors found in the aura of the more physically oriented person, like I said, is green, yellow, and blue. So, I know this may sound a little confusing, but it's let's say that you have a very advanced human being, in this case we're calling it aspirant, but they have a physical job. They may be digging ditches. They may be a landscaper. Even though they are working physically, using the energy of their physical body, they are still using the colors of the advancing soul, in this case the aspirant. So that tells us that how we function from a day-to-day level is recognized in the colors of the aura that the person is radiating during whatever activity that they are involved in. Now, the next category of aura, we said there are 4 categories. The third category is that of the disciple. Their aura extends from 6 to 9 feet. And in addition to the physical colors of the average person and the colors for the aspirant, now we include those colors, but we add red, violet, red, and true orange, yellow. So now you see the colors are mixing, but they're becoming purer. So disciples are those who are dedicated to the manifestation of the divine plan in any field of human endeavor. The fourth group of the category is these people are called warriors or noble ones. In esoteric terminology, a member of this category is a leader or even a master. Their aura extends from 9 to 30 feet as a powerful electromagnetic field of great beauty. The predominant colors, in addition to the earlier ones, are indigo, gold, and lemon red. Indigo, gold, and lemon red. Masters, or noble ones, have 12 colors as a circular rainbow around their densest vehicle. Whatever that vehicle is, the densest vehicle, they have a circular rainbow of 12 colors. So the aura is formed by the emanations that are radiating out of our vehicles according to the vibration and frequency of our vehicles. Certain colors come into existence. The etheric body, now the etheric body is not the aura, but is part of it. The health aura is part of the emanation of the physical body, the dense physical body. The aura is the totality. Remember, the aura is the totality of 12 components. These 12 components are not active with a person who has a low-level consciousness, but it comes into activity as the capital S self, the true self, gains more control over its vehicles. So in the beginning, these colors are dim, they are faint. The majority of the colors are not in expression because of the low consciousness of the person. But as we get into that third and fourth category, now the colors are becoming stronger, more pure. The sensitivity of the aspirant, the more advanced aspirant, this disciple, and certainly the warrior or noble one, now, because of the extension of the radiation of the aura, going from 6 to 9 feet particularly, their sensitivities are beyond what we can even imagine. Their sensitivities is a result of the soul that is now gaining control over their vehicles. Now, the aura of an average person is composed of their etheric, physical, astral, and lower mental bodies. This is the aura of an average person. As we advance, we're going to build higher bodies and add new substances and colors into our aura. We unfold our centers and they bring greater abundance into our aura. So the centers have something to do with our aura. So as our centers are unfolding, then there is a greater abundance of color and energy that goes into our aura. As a person develops and unfolds and approaches spiritual perfection, their aura demonstrates a symphony of color. We can just imagine. See, even if we can't see it, we can feel it, right? And feeling it, we can imagine it, that they have a symphony of colors scintillating within 12 predominating colors. A person is then recognized subjectively by their aura, just as if it were their uniform. We enter the subjective planes according to the body that we build. For example, if we have a physical body, which we do, we have a physical body, we function on the physical plane. So the person that has a physical body can function on the physical plane, just like what we are functioning here like this morning. Now, with the etheric body, we can function on the etheric plane. With the astral body, we can function on the astral plane. With the mental body, we can function on the mental body, mental plane, and so on. And when I say function on the astral plane or function on the mental plane, it doesn't mean that we can just feel and think. It means that our consciousness can enter consciously onto the astral plane or onto the mental plane, and we can function consciously on these planes. Now, if by chance a person enters a higher plane without having the corresponding vehicle, then they are electrically evicted. They awaken sharply because they're on the subjective planes now, and they receive a strong shock, and they're thrown back in their body. The average person only enters the etheric plane or travels as far as the lowest levels of the astral plane. Aspirants enter the astral plane and can penetrate into the lower mental plane. Disciples can enter the higher mental plane and occasionally reach the lower levels of the intuitional plane. Now, initiates or higher degrees or masters function in the intuitional plane and penetrate into higher planes according to their aura. So when we read, the biographies of people like Helena Rourke, like Nicholas Rourke, like Alice Bailey, these are spiritual beings that those on the path of the ageless wisdom are quite familiar with, and we wonder how they can have such experiences that they could bring back to us and teach us about. It's because they are consciously functioning on these higher planes, and typically the intuitional plane and sometimes higher, according to their rank. The person who walks into the halls of the intuitional plane is dressed like a rainbow. Higher bodies are glorious bodies that radiate joy and blessing and healing energies. These bodies are built throughout the ages through conscious labor. The radiations come into being as our virtues control our daily lives. So as virtues, in other words, as certain virtues begin to control our life, these radiations, these colors, come into our aura and control our daily lives, control our words and our thoughts. So the teaching tells us that actually our aura is a flow of virtues. This is why the virtues, practicing, experiencing, and assimilating the energy of virtue is so important to us. Each virtue has its own color according to its purity and expression of maturity. Purity and maturity. As the virtue flows from the core of our being, the radiation of beauty increases in our aura. The higher the body you have, the more you are in contact with the higher world, where the plan is prepared, where the secret purpose of all creation exists. As you go higher, you become more aware of the greater mysteries of life, of the universe, and you bring them down and share them with humanity as far as is possible, with pure discrimination and with a good sense of timing and change. Let's take, for example, the greater the talent of a disciple, or the greater a leader is, the deeper their penetration into higher planes of existence occurs for them. God-inspired leaders are those who have access to the sphere of the plan. In other words, the planetary logos. In other words, Shambhala. In other words, the cosmic magnet. So they have access to this whole sphere of the plan, and they have access to the sphere of the purpose underlying the plan. They know exactly what to do, where, and when. Great ideologies, arts, and sciences are the result of such penetration. We call such people sometimes geniuses, right? And you wonder, where do these ideas, these great ideas come from? They come from an individual whose consciousness has in some way contact with these greater spheres of life that underlies the purpose and plan for humanity, and they make a contact through the aura with the purpose of the plan. When your chalice is destroyed, it's such a dramatic word. When your chalice is destroyed at the fourth initiation, the inner guide departs and is now giving birth to her baby, the soul, the human soul. The human soul is born in fire and through fire. It is a fiery being in the subjective as well as in the objective world. So we tend to think we are souls. The thing is that our soul is asleep. It may be a little bit of a little awake on the physical plane, but the astral plane, the mental plane, and so forth, it is asleep until, through this whole process of initiation, which I talked a little bit about at Easter time, through the process of spiritual unfoldment, through the process of expansion, or as Agni Yoga calls it, the broadening of our consciousness, slowly, 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 we enter into and successfully pass initiations 1, 2, 3, and finally 4. So it's not until the fourth initiation that the soul is completely given birth to and our solar angel can depart, or as it's called, the inner guide will depart. Now it's such a fiery being that the human soul functions in the spiritual triad and has those colors, radiates what's called triadal colors. Deep in the core, the human soul is a spark. We are red sparks, we are blue sparks, or yellow sparks, according to the rays. See that? This is so beautiful to think about. So if you have the predominance of red, the red color in your aura, you know you are a red spark. And the same with blue and yellow. Rays 1, 2, and 3. As our human soul advances toward perfection, the color of the spark then predominates over the colors of the spiritual triad. We are told that in the halls of the hierarchy and in the Grand Lodge of Shambhala, initiates are seated according to the intensity and purity of the colors of their sparks. As our auric colors become clearer, purer, and more translucent and radiant, we build closer communication lines with the invisible hierarchy, formed of its proper colors. The function of the aura. Now we get into what's the purpose of an aura, right? So what's the function of the aura? It is, number one, to absorb and emanate psychic energy. One of the functions of the aura is to absorb and emanate psychic energy. During conference, we talked a lot about psychic energy. Not one person talked about the aura and psychic energy. I thought that was really interesting. So now you can add that to your compilation about the expression of psychic energy. The aura absorbs psychic energy and it emanates psychic energy. The aura also registers impressions coming from various sources in the cosmos and corresponding planes. So we are told, for example, that our teachers can oftentimes hear our thoughts. Sometimes they can even enter into our dream life. Sometimes they can communicate with us when they're at a distance. They can communicate with us through the astral plane, through the etheric plane, or through the centers in our physical brain. And the question is, how can they do it? It's through the aura. They can inspire us, they can impress us through the radiation of our aura, and because they have such a humongous radiation of an aura. It's very interesting to think about. So they can register, the aura can register impressions coming from various sources, not only from our earthly spiritual teacher or subjective spiritual teacher, but also cosmos and corresponding planes. When they have access to these corresponding planes is where the birth is given to certain individuals that we call geniuses. In all fields of human endeavor, whether it's physics, whether it is music, whether it is education, health, which is what this talk is about today, the health of the aura. It is the ability through our aura to have communications with the planes of existence of great ones. So it's so interesting to me when you wonder, how can an individual human being be such a genius and other individual human beings be so stupid? You know, well, it's a simple question and sounds funny, but this is the answer. It's what they have accomplished. It's how broad their consciousness is, and so forth. Another function of the aura is to serve as a vehicle to put our human soul in communication with the corresponding plane of existence. So, if we have no communication with the astral plane, or no communication with the mental, or no communication with the intuitional plane, then we know where it is that we must begin our spiritual striving. Another function of the aura is to protect us from the aura itself and us from psychic and subjective attacks. So the aura is a protective mechanism to protect us from psychic and subjective attacks. If our aura is well organized, it can also repel the attacks of germs and microbes and destructive auras. Also, the solar angel can enable this process to take place. So, for example, during the Black Plague, we could even say during, no, I won't go there. So we'll just stick with the Black Plague, where you wonder why so many doctors survived when they were right in the middle of these germs. It's because either they had a really well organized aura, or they had the support of the solar angel protecting them. The aura grows as our human soul expresses greater virtue. It organizes its centers on each plane. The soul, our human soul, organizes its centers on each plane and changes the focus of its consciousness from the lower to the higher planes. The colors in our aura change, mixing with it natural colors, the colors of our virtues, and higher contacts, or mixing our auric colors with the colors of our negative emotions, blind urges, and drives, with the colors of our impure thoughts, glamours, illusions, and vanity. This is why, I'm not the negative side, but the positive side is that people want to be around great spiritual beings because our aura mingles with their aura, and they elevate their aura, their level, the purity of their consciousness, the purity and radiation of their colors mingles with our own and pulls us up to a level on our own we cannot attain. So we can even look at, for example, the paintings of Nicholas Rourke, or we can read the words of the master, and in reading the words of the master, or being in the aura of the painting of the original painting of Nicholas Rourke, we become so inspired in a way that we don't experience in our day-to-day life. That's because the aura of the painting, the aura of the words of the master, the aura of the teachings inspire us, elevate us to inspire us to such a degree that we know we can be something greater. And this is why that one book that Torkin wrote called The Science of Becoming Oneself, This is the science of becoming ourselves. Letting our aura mingling with great ones is a way to inspire us to recognize our potential. Sometimes our aura looks like scintillating colors of great beauty. Other times it looks like a sheet of cloth, blotted by gray and brown or dark spots, like a deteriorating rag. These colors not only indicate negative emotion, but also criminal thoughts and destructive, selfish motives. Anger is another extremely dangerous force that tears the aura. It looks like lightning, surrounded with red and black colors. People have many tears in their aura. If the etheric body is torn, astral energy pours in. If the etheric body is torn, astral energy pours into the etheric body and overstimulates the cells, creating, as you might imagine, great damage to the body. If the astral body is torn, astral entities can sneak in and obsess or possess your body. If the mental aura is cracked, then you're exposed to various mental disturbances. And few of these disturbances are curable. But if the higher auras are built, they can protect your aura and sometimes patch it. This is why we want to be around advanced spiritual people if the opportunity presents itself, because we can have a natural healing. The two auras are mingling. Or we can heal the health aura through active seed thought meditation, or through practicing putting into our day-to-day life the disciplines of the teaching are all ways to protect our aura and sometimes patch it. The corresponding locations of cracks in the body are directly affected. For example, after being angry. Being angry causes cracks in the aura. You're going to notice changes in your body, in your feelings, and in thinking. From this, you can learn a great lesson. The condition of your aura directly affects the auras of those closest to you. This is something to think about. The condition of your aura directly affects the auras of those who are closest to you. It affects the aura of those with whom we work and relate. So we either bring vitality and joy into the aura of others, or we contaminate them with our aura. Irritation and depression creates cleavages in our entire aura. When cleavages come into being, communion between different parts of the aura is stopped. So for example, your emotional aura slowly builds sharp edges. That's the emotional aura. Astral aura slowly builds sharp edges. Your mental aura will develop certain borderlines. You become a house divided. This is what's called cleavages. You become a house divided within itself. Such cleavages have a drastic effect on your life. You lose direction. You always change your goals, your plans, your discussions, your associations, and you try to manufacture reasons for your conduct. Depression appears as a great and dark wave in your aura, mixed with a murky red. A murky red is it's an important word to remember, a murky red, as opposed to that pure, scintillating, beautiful red color. Depression is mixed with a dark wave. It's a very, very dark color. The way we would look at it as the murky red is black. The person would have a black aura. It's not literally that, it just looks that way. Irritation appears as if your aura is contaminated with red and black spots. That's what irritation does. Fear creates disturbances in your aura, which creates or looks like a black-gray cloud, or it can look like a smoggy fog that spreads all over your aura and paralyzes the pulsations or the breathing of the aura. Wherever the cloud is thick, the corresponding organ suffers. It generally attacks the heart and the kidneys. Continuity of consciousness is possible only if the components, those 12 components of your overall aura, blend and fuse with each other. So now we're talking about the anticorona bridge, the continuity of consciousness. Continuity of consciousness, or the complete construction of the anticorona bridge, is only possible when all 12 components or colors overall in the aura blend and fuse with each other and rhythmically pulsate. Rhythmically pulsate. Any black spot in your aura stops the circulation of psychic energy. Where psychic energy cannot penetrate, decay and disintegration appear. Wherever psychic energy cannot penetrate, then decay and disintegration appear. So psychic energy is part of the aura, is an integrated part of one's aura. Negative emotions and thoughts pass from one plane to another. This is a very interesting point to think about today. Negative emotions, negative thoughts pass from one plane into another. So physical anger appears in the astral and mental planes. Often you cannot enter the higher planes if there is too much agitation in your aura. After a person leaves the physical plane, invisible helpers can take you to the astral plane and give you a strong dose of peace. If the anger you carry is a kind of selfless indignation, like righteous anger, selfless indignation. If the anger they carry is a kind of selfless indignation, then invisible helpers can help you. There are many there are many invisible helpers who try to clean our aura before we enter into the higher spheres. If that pollution in your aura is due to dedicated service and selfless labor among people contaminated with ugly formations of dark colors, and that's the human side of us, no matter how advanced a person may be. Usually it's the strong service-oriented individuals when they are making their transition that need this help from the invisible helpers, because it's the cause of pollution in the aura. Higher emotions, aspirations, thoughts of compassion and beauty give wings to your aura. For spatial flights, you need wings. As your aura grows and expands, it takes you to faraway places on Earth. If it expands further, you experience spatial flights to the solar system. Now, for us, that seems almost like science fiction, but fortunately, we can read about it through the life of Helena Rourke, who was so gracious and generous in taking down notes of her experiences and now publishing the notes. Many of us are publishing all over the world, are publishing her notes and her letters, and we're learning about these flights that she took into the solar system. If your higher bodies are built, you can become able to fly to stars and galaxies. The spark throughout the ages is building vehicles to liberate itself from the capacity of this planet in order to enjoy its divine freedom in space. The spark is born in space, and it will return to the freedom of peace and space. Let me close by talking briefly about karma. Some people think that holy or advanced people must have had bad karma because of the suffering through which they often pass. This is not totally true. For example, it may be that they had debts in the past that they did not pay. But now, because they are wealthy, they are able to pay those debts. It is also true that holy ones often suffer not because of their own karma, but because of the karma of those related to them in some way. Such holy ones consciously suffer for us to pay our karma, and enables us to find the path of righteousness, or to pay our debts by helping and serving others. Some holy ones suffer because they overload their circuits. They burn their centers and vehicles by using them excessively in service. This is why Master M repeatedly, over and over and over again, would tell Helena Rourke, you must rest. Many holy ones burn their throat centers and other centers in spreading too much psychic energy, depriving themselves by helping others. They do this out of compassion, knowing that the troubles of this life are nothing compared to the blessings that they will share in the subtle worlds. No advanced disciple exists unless they have cleaned their past karma. It is therefore most probable that the great ones suffer because of these mentioned reasons. Every great service that one renders is because of the absence of bad karma. It is possible to have high-level certificates and knowledge, but if the person's karma is heavy, they are going to be, that heaviness prevents them from entering the field of true service. Discipline, study, and education cannot make the person a server, a true server, until they have paid their past karma. If their karma has not been worked out, and if they force themselves into a high position, listen to this, they become a very destructive and dangerous person to the masses. Your karma must be clear before you are led into the field of true service. Every sacrificial service we render to humanity expands in the future into a greater field of service for us. So that's a lot to think about today. So hopefully you enjoy the talk. I am going to talk one more time about the aura. I think that's next month.